All right, so welcome back to the deep dive. We've had a heck of a run really getting deep into these perks.
Yeah, if you've been with us since the beginning, through Depth Perception, Vulture Aid, all 10 perks, we've definitely gone down some rabbit holes.
We have. And today, think of it as like a victory lap. Not just going over the facts and figures, but reliving those hold on, what just happened moments. You know, the unexpected findings, and maybe even a laugh or two remembering some of the chaotic testing.
Right. The whole point has been to get that knowledge, but not drown in data. So that's what this is, a fun, quick recap to help you connect all those perk dots.
Exactly. Consider this your express lane to being a perk pro. We'll hit the key takeaways, highlight what makes each perk tick, or, spectacularly flop sometimes. And we'll definitely touch on the surprising stuff and maybe a few of those tangents we couldn't resist.
Oh, yeah, we're pulling from everything, the hardcore testing, the data deep dives, and, yeah, even those off-the-cuff moments that felt really insightful when we were knee-deep in, zombie guts.
Exactly. We'll highlight what really stood out, the insights that matter, the little nuggets of info you'll actually remember. So let's start with Vulture Aid. You know, that feathery friend that swooped in a little later in the game? Remember, the initial goal was to figure out how it changes the whole loot game, right?
Exactly. It's like, what's the difference with and without this perk helping you out?
Totally.
So we started by establishing that baseline loot drop rate, and it was around 10, maybe 11% without Vulture Aid. But then that base perk, just that alone, jumps your chances way up.
Oh.
It practically doubles it to about 20% for all of those goodies. Scrap, tactical gear, the works.
A serious boost right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was Condor Reach, because who has time to actually, stop and pick stuff up in the middle of a horde, right?
You're just running for your life.
Exactly.
So Condor Reach gave us that 3.5-meter auto loot. And what's really wild is, that radius. It's the full 3.5 meters and line of sight. Practically irrelevant. You could be on the other side of a wall, and if that loot drops within your bubble, boom, it's yours. No need to trip over it like in the base game.
Huge quality of life improvement.
Oh, yeah, huge. Your sprint speed, the size of the loot, none of it matters. It's like a loot vacuum.
It is. Now, parting gift. I think we all had those dreams of wonder weapon ammo just raining from the sky, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, the dream was alive and well. Imagine, taking down a zombie and post a little care package for your ray gun.
Exactly.
Sadly, not quite how it worked out. No wonder weapon ammo drops with parting gift. But where it shines is how much it boosts the ammo you do get for your regular weapons. The ray gun went from 2 measly rounds per drop to a whopping 16.
16, that is a game changer, especially when you're in those later rounds.
Oh, it totally transforms the ray gun in the late game.
And we did try to see if it had any effect on the jet gun's charge or the ice staff's ultimate rate.
Oh, we tried. We really wanted to break the game, but no dice. Didn't see any real impact on recharging those special abilities.
Right.
And remember the Beam Smasher testing saga? Talk about a resource management fail. Gobble gums. Gone. Poof.
Poof.
3 attempts, all ending with us empty-handed. Made us seriously question our methods, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the regular wonder weapons, that ray gun especially, in those later rounds, parting gift is a lifesaver.
It is. Okay, then we went for Picky Eater. Seems simple on the surface. You use it, you get more of it.
Right, more of what you need.
Exactly. But the numbers, whoa, they were something else.
We couldn't test every single piece of equipment,
Mm-hmm.
Tacticals, lethals, support. But the examples we did look at were eye-opening. Molotovs went from 1 drop every 200 enemies to 1 every 39 with Picky Eater active. That's 5 times more.
5 times.
And shock sticks, similar story. They're practically raining from the sky.
So clearly it works, but there was a big question about how Picky Eater worked, right?
Yeah.
There's some confusion out there.
Oh, big time. People were wondering if it replaced the regular drops, the ammo, and scrap. But through careful testing, we confirmed it doesn't replace anything. It stacks on top of your existing base and Vulture Aid drop rates.
So you're getting more equipment on top of your regular loot, not instead of it.
You got it. And that you become super valuable the deeper you go.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about Molotovs and thermal grenades against those abominations.
Yeah.
They wreck them.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's talk about those battlefield fog machines. Fetid Upgrade and Smell of Death.
The gaseous contenders, right?
For sure.
Let's break it down. Fed Upgrade, it gives you that gas cloud to charge your field upgrade. Each pulse gives you about 6.25% charge, up to 117% from one activation.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. So depending on which field upgrade you're rocking, you could be looking at 2 to 4 charges per round. around round 40.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows with Fed Raid. It wasn't that big, wide safety net some people thought.
Yeah, the gas cloud itself is actually surprisingly narrow. Way less forgiving than, like, concealing gas. You got to be right in it to get that charge. And while it does pop pretty often on its own, it's not enough to carry you in the really high rounds, especially as your guns start to lose their punch later on.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you risk taking too much damage while you're waiting for that charge. It's more useful, strategically, for grabbing a quick field upgrade early on, or, in certain high-round strats where you're using those high-kill weapons, like a jet gun, a ray gun.
Yeah.
Especially when you throw speed cola and supercharge into the mix.
Right, that field upgrade that boosts your charge rate.
Exactly. And just to be super clear, it doesn't just have to be your kills. Any kill source can trigger the gas and that sweet, sweet charge.
That is helpful to know. Now,
Yeah.
Smell of Death, the, shall we say, more subtle approach to gaseous warfare.
Smell of Death has a 2.5% chance to make that concealing gas cloud. It lasts 5 seconds, which...
Seems short.
Yeah, it's like 1 puff out of every 40 enemies you take down. So the rate is lower than Fed, but that 5 seconds, it can be clutch. Often enough to reload, maybe even fully replate, like we saw in our Speed Cola deep dive when we were all about those timing.
Right.
But trying to actually see the smell of death gas in the heat of the moment, that was an adventure.
That was interesting.
Visually, it's not very distinct.
Oh, right.
And unfortunately, it looks a lot like the plague gas those parasites make. Led to some unplanned encounters with the wrong kind of gas.
Yeah.
Not ideal for the old health bar. But here's the cool part. It distracts all enemy types, even the big bosses. They basically nope out, run right away as soon as you step in that cloud.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So even though it might not happen as often, strategically in a tight spot, it's a lifesaver. More diverse uses in the late game compared to Fetid, which is really focused on that field upgrade charge.
And all that Vulture Aid testing, man, we had some tech hiccups. I think the game liked crashing on us a little too much.
Ah, yes. The joys of pushing a game to its limits. We did have a lot of crashes, especially in those longer high-round tests. Led to some incomplete data. Lost progress. The glamorous life of a zombie perk researcher.
It's rough out here.
It is.
All right, let's shift gears. Quick Revive, a classic. Seems simple, but there are hidden layers, especially for the solo players.
Oh, yeah, it's deeper than it looks. Most people grab Quick Revive for that faster health regen, going from 6 seconds down to 3.
Right.
But what's important is that safety zone. The whole time it takes to start regenerating and fully heal. Even with Quick Revive, there's still that window where you're vulnerable.
Right, makes sense.
We even calculated how far you could run while regenerating, with and without the perk. Showed how crucial it is to create some space between you and those zombies.
Distance is key.
It is. Then there's swift recovery. Sounds like it's all about co-op, right? Someone goes down, you revive them, they get the speed boost.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Well, get this. It works solo. Reviving yourself actually gives you that speed boost. A solid 57% for 2.5 seconds.
What?
Yeah. Amazing for getting away after a self-revive in solo.
Yeah.
We even compared the distance you cover, with and without stamina up. Big difference.
I bet. And EMT, if I remember correctly, had some surprising uses for solo play as well.
It does. So EMT helps when you revive an ally. They keep all their perks even though they're grayed out for a bit.
Right.
But here's the kicker, and what makes it good for solo.
Yeah.
Those perks stay active. You just buy one more perk to make them permanent again.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and as long as you hold on to Quick Revive, even the temporary one, you can down multiple times solo without losing that self-revive.
That's a big deal.
Huge. Way more forgiving for solo players. Now, Chromic Return, that one felt more straightforward. Keep the reviver alive, support the team.
Right, teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. When you revive someone with Chromic Return, you instantly get full health. Boom, back to 100%. Of course, no use in solo. You're already at full health when you revive. But there's this little bonus, a healing aura, and it even knocks back zombies a bit if they hit you while that health is refilling. It's like a reward for being the team medic.
A little thank you from the game. Now, for Quick Revive, the last one, we had equivalent exchange. That felt like a high-risk, high-reward kind of deal.
Oh, for sure. So you kill an enemy while you're down, it revives you. But you lose your Quick Revive, and you can only do this 3 times.
Now you're really gambling.
You are, but the good news is it works solo. It's that last-ditch effort to get back up. But you got to be smart about it. No more Quick Revive safety net. And we did look at that slow deaths augment, gives you more time in Last Stand, but it wasn't that great compared to the others. Though, full disclosure, we didn't go too deep on that one.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk Juggernog, the health boost, right?
Yeah.
250 base and 300 with that probiotic upgrade.
Right. Essential for staying alive, period.
Yeah.
But the augments are where things get interesting, like retaliation. It gives you a 50% damage boost when your health is below half.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. It stacks after Deadshot's damage bonus. So suddenly, all sorts of weapons become viable in those high rounds where you're struggling for damage.
Interesting.
We even looked at some examples, the Cero 762, the Goblin Mark, shows you just how much of a damage spike you can get when you're playing on the edge.
Living dangerously. And then there was Total Shell. Sounded like it could be a real lifesaver.
Oh yeah, it's all about protecting your back, literally. As long as your armor is good, no damage from behind.
No damage.
None. Doesn't make the armor tougher though, so it's really good with durable plates.
That other armor augment.
Exactly. And even better, it works against the main bosses.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep, keep your back to the horde, and Total Shell's got you covered.
Nice. And reactive armor. A little electrifying surprise for those zombies who break through.
That's right. When your armor breaks, reactive armor stuns nearby enemies, like up to 25 zombies in an 8-meter radius for 3 seconds. Gives you time to reload or, more importantly, replate, like we talked about with Speed Cola.
All those timings.
Exactly. Important stuff. I vaguely remember we had this idea of reaching round 50 with just one armor plate, to really test those Juggernog augments.
That was ambitious.
Oh yeah, ambitious is one word for it. But, sometimes plans change. We ended up focusing more on understanding how each augment works, its impact on gameplay overall, rather than these super specific, super hard high-round scenarios.
Makes sense.
The goal is to give you the knowledge to build your own high-round strategies.
I like it. Okay, next up, depth perception. This one caused some strong opinions.
To put it mildly, there was a lot of negativity when it first dropped.
Our video title was pretty telling, wasn't it?
It was. We were on a mission to find the hidden gems of depth perception. And one of the best things we found was how it works with high contrast mode. It extends that zombie visibility range, keeps that clear 20-22 meter view going even further out.
And it can even reveal those glowing enemies behind walls.
Which is something the base high contrast mode just can't do. Then you've got Death Stare. A gamble, but a potentially awesome one.
I remember that.
So Death Stare gives your elemental damage a chance to instantly kill weak enemies, like a 10% chance for the tough guys, bosses, specials, bugs. And this triggers with your ammo mods, or equipment that matches an enemy's weakness, like using Molotovs against Manglers and Abominations.
Makes sense.
Now here's what's interesting. In our testing, after round 25, that chance seemed way higher, almost guaranteed in some cases.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. Turns out it was great for camo grinding. Take down those tough guys without needing a fully upgraded secondary weapon. And last but not least, critical eye. Turning body shots into, well, crits.
It's all about maximizing damage.
Exactly. Critical eye gives you a chance for a body shot to count as a critical hit. We saw it happen more with multi-pellet weapons, like shotguns. Boosts your overall damage, even if your aim isn't perfect.
Every little bit helps. And I remember that depth perception video. We were trying to find those 2 reasons to use it, not exactly a ringing endorsement.
Nope, not at all. But it shows you how important it is to look beyond the obvious. Find those niche but valuable uses, like that synergy with high contrast mode or its unexpected help with camo grinding.
Right.
And that was also the video where we showed off how our premium members can use the Ask feature on YouTube. It's like a personal wiki for game mechanics. Get those specific perk answers you need.
Very cool. Let's inject some speed into this. Speed cola time.
Time to go fast.
Exactly. We really went deep on this one, debunked some myths.
Oh yeah. The base perk is all about that faster reload speed. The exact numbers are in the video, but the main thing is it's faster than people think.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Quick Swap, which, as the name suggests, makes switching weapons much faster. Almost cuts it in half in some cases.
Nice.
Super helpful if you're always swapping between your primary, secondary, and melee. Makes the combat flow so much better.
Smoother.
Exactly. Now, Box Jockey, that was a curious one. Sounded like it could save you time at the mystery box, but...
Yeah, the reality was a bit of a letdown.
A bit.
It only speeds up the settle time, when the weapon's spinning. It doesn't touch the activation time, the return time if you don't like the weapon, or the recovery time before you can use the box again.
So the benefit is pretty small.
Tiny.
Mm-hmm.
You're saving a couple of seconds on the spin, but the return time is like 11.5 seconds no matter what. Overall, Box Jockey just doesn't make a big difference, especially when you consider how much time you spend at the box anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Overclock, on the other hand, that was a clear improvement. Speeding things up directly.
Right.
It does exactly what it says. Recharges your field upgrade faster, But remember, that recharge rate slows down in the higher rounds, so it gets a little less effective as you go. Gotcha. And I have to ask about that whole deep dive into why the game can feel conky sometimes. That was a fun one.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't just about reload speed. We looked at how it all works together. Animation timings, reload speeds, weapon swaps, all these tiny things add up to make the game feel responsive or not.
It's all about those little details.
It is. Fractions of a second here and there, it all matters.
It does. All right, stamina up. Essential for anyone who wants to actually outrun the horde.
Absolutely. The base perk increases your sprint time, and your tactical sprint recharges faster. Essential for moving around and getting out of trouble.
Essential.
Then there's Hot Foot. Gives you a little burst of speed up to 10 meters per second after a kill with equipment.
Nice.
And the best part, it stacks with other movement buffs. You can get really fast with the right setup.
Like a speed demon.
Exactly. We talked about Swift Recovery with Quick Revive, but Stamina Up has its own movement augments. Parkour Expert, that one reduces fall damage. Now, fall damage isn't usually a big deal, but any damage resets your health regeneration delay. Remember that safety zone from Quick Revive?
I do.
So avoiding even a little fall damage helps you stay alive. And then Marathon Runner, simple and effective. 15% faster sprint speed. More running, less dying.
Always a good goal.
Yeah.
And I remember the stamina up testing's super detailed, measuring movement speeds, tactical sprint distances, all of it.
We went all out. We had to understand how all those buffs work together and how they tied back into health regeneration.
Right.
That safety zone is key. Always thinking about that.
Oh.
Okay, next up, PhD Flopper. So much more than just diving for explosions.
It's an art form.
Oh, absolutely. The base perk gives you that explosion when you dive prone and a bigger radius if you fall from higher, though the damage stays the same. It also makes you immune to your own explosions and any status effects that come with them. Even those exploding cars from the Manglers count.
No.
But here's the thing a lot of people miss. When you do a regular flop, the center of the explosion is actually in front of your head. You got to be precise to hit those zombies.
So it's not just dive and detonate?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
But the higher you fall, the wider the explosion gets, eventually covering your whole body. Oh, and you can start a flop at an angle right after a tactical sprint. Handy trick for a quick getaway.
Oh, that's smart.
And pro tip, always sprint forward after you flop. The main damage is in front of you. And insta-kill. Doesn't change how many kills you get with those PhD explosions.
Good to know. So then we had Gravity MD, a totally different, almost passive way to blow stuff up.
Just fall from a height 4.5 meters or more, boom, explosion right at your feet. Same damage as a regular PhD flop. You can even trigger it by jumping off a ledge, though it won't protect you from the fall damage.
Right, got to be careful with those ledges.
Exactly. Then there's DRM. Changes your tactical sprint so it knocks down and damages one zombie.
What?
Yep, just one. 10% of their health for 4 seconds. You can't re-knock them down, and it's only one zombie per sprint. So, yeah, kind of limited. Most useful if you get cornered by a lone straggler.
Yeah. Niche situation.
Totally. PhD Slider, on the other hand, pure chaotic fun. Turn your slides into explosions.
Exploding slides. Yes, please.
Slide into enemies, boom, one-shot explosion. Max 10 zombies per slide, though. It's not a constant stream of explosions as you slide, more like an initial burst on contact.
Still sounds awesome.
It is. Then we have Environmentalist. Pretty specific use case.
This is the one for, like, traps and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Makes you immune to environmental damage while sliding, traps, falls, you name it. But honestly, those things are pretty easy to avoid while sliding anyway. It's probably the least useful of the PhD augments overall.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then EOD. That one was tricky. The description can be misleading.
Oh, how so?
It says it reduces height and distance requirements for explosions, but that only applies to the radius of the explosion, not how far you need to fall to trigger it. So you still need that 4.5 meter drop for Gravity MD. EOD just makes the explosion bigger right away.
So it's not making it easier to trigger, just affecting the size.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then we have Tribologist. Slide farther, slide faster. A full 50% boost to both distance and speed.
That's wild.
It makes sliding faster than tactical sprinting with Stamina Up. But be careful, if you're using it with PhD Slider, you might actually be hurting yourself. You'll slide past more zombies, but won't get any extra kills from the explosions.
Ah, so there's a sweet spot there.
You got it.
And during the PhD Flopper deep dive, that memorable confession about Premiere Pro and timecode.
That was my moment of truth. Turns out Premiere Pro counts frames, not milliseconds. I've been doing the timing calculations all wrong. A lesson for all you video editors out there.
The valuable lesson.
It was.
Okay, onto a perk that feels essential for high rounds. Deadshot Daiquiri. Auto aim for crits. But there's more to it than that.
Way more. The base perk does what it says, aims for those critical spots when you ADS, and it gives you a 10% crit damage bonus on all upgrades and Pack-a-Punch tiers. But we did see some weirdness with that damage bonus, especially on some assault rifles. Didn't always seem like a full 10%.
Interesting. So Dead Break, designed for taking care of armored zombies.
Dead Break makes it take fewer shots to break armor. Doesn't actually increase the damage to the armor itself, though.
Yeah.
So you strip armor faster, but you won't see bigger damage numbers popping up.
Got it.
Deadhead is more straightforward. More crit damage. An extra 15% on top of the base Deadshot bonus for all upgraded and papped weapons.
Stacking that damage.
Oh, yeah. Now, Deadeye, that one had benefits beyond just aiming. Yeah. It reduces gun movement while you're doing all those fancy moves like jumping, diving, mantling. It also tightens your hipfire spread, and you recover from ADS faster after moving. Super powerful for staying mobile and accurate. Great for speedrunners, too.
Wow, who knew?
Right. Dead again is where things get crazy. Crit hits have a chance to put bullets back in your magazine.
Never reload again.
Almost. We saw about a 50% chance for at least one bullet back on a crit, and sometimes even more. Insanely good for weapons that crit a lot, like shotguns, snipers, some marksman and assault rifles. Practically infinite ammo. But less impactful for high fire rate, low crit chance weapons.
Right, like SMGs.
Exactly.
And I remember we were trying to figure out why Deadshot didn't always feel like double damage.
Right. It's because of that base 10% crit bonus and the little inconsistencies we saw with some weapons. It's a big boost, but not always exactly double damage.
Yeah.
And it being good for speedrunners, that was a total surprise. All thanks to those movement improvements from Deadeye.
Very cool. Okay, time to get up close and personal. Melee Macchiato. This perk had a lot more going on under the hood than we thought.
Oh, yeah. So the base perk lets you one-shot normal zombies with the gun butt up to round 20. It does 125 damage. Strength training only adds 5 rounds to that, and the ice staff melee isn't affected at all. Last guaranteed one-shot round is 22.
Interesting.
The gun butt also knocks zombies back pretty far, like 10-15 meters for 1.5 seconds. And the whole gun butt animation takes about 1.5 seconds, too. Oh, and there are actually 4 different types of punches, each with a slightly different timing. And super important, all this goes away if you use immune injections.
Because it takes away your perks.
Exactly.
Okay, now we have Snick and Move, all about moving after hitting something.
Yep. It makes you backpedal 50% faster for 1.5 seconds after any melee attack. Gun butt or melee weapon. Yeah. It's about 6.6 meters per second.
And a dodge.
Very. Vampiric extraction, that one heals you when you hit things.
Like a vampire.
Exactly. Melee attacks heal 25% of your max health. Doesn't mess with your health regen delay either. Stay in the fight longer.
I like it. Now, Espresso and Triple Shot. 2 ways to approach melee for different playstyles.
Right. Espresso makes your melee and gun butt faster. Good for taking out single targets quickly. Triple Shot lets you do 3 gun butts in a row. Great for crowds, especially with hidden impact. Can't use other melee weapons with Triple Shot, though.
Right, right.
Hidden impact is the real game changer, though. Melee kills reload 10% of your last weapon's magazine, round it up. Works with the ice staff's primary fire, too, but not the alt fire.
Oh, that's good to know.
It is super effective for keeping your ammo up, especially in the later rounds when the gun butt isn't a one-shot anymore.
You gotta use real melee weapons.
You do. Just remember, it's the last weapon you had out, even if it's full. And, we tested this, Vulture Aid doesn't refill the alt-fire ammo for wonder weapons.
I bet people were wondering about that. You know, we really went deep on the gun butt. It was like discovering a whole new combat system.
It was. Who knew there was so much to it? And that hidden impact synergy with the ice staff. Genius.
Okay, last but not least, Elemental Pop. 100 hours of testing just to scratch the surface.
We were dedicated. The base perk gives you a chance to apply a random ammo mod effect when you hit something. And then, of course, the augments affect those mods. Brain Rot, Cryo Freeze, Electro Bolt, Napalm Burst, Toxic Growth, and Dead Wire.
We didn't have specifics on Deadwire in these transcripts, just to clarify.
Right. But we did find some cool ways to manipulate the proc chances for your equipped ammo mod.
Like Chillberry.
Chillberry is the MVP. Reload a few times in a row, and your ammo mod procs more often. Up to 4 stacks, and at max stacks, it's almost guaranteed to proc every hit.
So consistent procs.
You got it. Citrus Focus also increases that base proc chance, but it's less reliable than Chillberry.
Gotcha. Now, Thunderkiss, that one supercharged the Electrobolt ammo mod?
Oh yeah. More damage, longer stun. The stun lasts 3 to 5 seconds, depending on distance, and there's a 5-second cooldown after 4 quick reloads, so you can't spam it. Damage is based on your magazine size, about 6.6 damage per round, rounded up. But bosses and elites need at least 6-7 damage to be affected, and they don't get stunned.
Interesting. So Elemental Pop had some deep, hidden mechanics going on.
Big time. We found this whole hidden cooldown system that affects how often those elemental effects actually trigger. And there was a weird synergy with the turtle shell armor augment, though we don't have the details on that here. Just shows how much complexity is hidden in these perks.
It's crazy. And looking back at all these deep dives, I know our longtime viewers might remember some furry friends making cameos.
Ah, yes, the Reforged HQ mascots, gracing us with their presence. Those dogs, they just love to join the recordings, usually at the worst possible, but also funniest times.
Always a good time. And let's be real, we went off on some tangents, exploring things that seemed super interesting, even if they weren't directly related to the perk.
It's all part of the fun. Sometimes those tangents actually lead to some cool insights. But don't worry, we always try to be accurate, based on our testing and the data. That's what Reforged HQ is all about. You can see it all on the website and our Discord.
So as we wrap up this end of series deep dive, what's the big takeaway for you?
The sheer depth of these perks. They're not just simple bonuses, they're complex systems with their own rules, weird synergies, and tons of strategic uses. I hope this recap has given you some useful knowledge and maybe brought back some memories of our sometimes chaotic deep dives.
Chaotic, but always fun.
Always. And for you, our learner, we wanted to make this a concise but thorough recap. Hit those aha moments, connect all the dots, but not overload you.
Exactly.
If any of these perks really caught your attention, go back and watch the full deep dive videos, all the details, all the visuals, it's all there. And for even more info, community discussions, and a place to share your own findings, come hang out on our website and the Reforged HQ Discord.
Awesome. So with all this knowledge about these 10 perks, think about this. How will you approach zombie encounters now? What new strategies, what crazy perk combos will you try?
We're excited to see what you come up with.